Yo, what's going on? So today in front of me I have the Elektron Digitone. I think as a producer, one of the better things you can do to try to improve is to try to broaden your horizons in terms of the music that you expose yourself to and the music that you create. So today what we're going to try to do is make some ambient music. Ambient music is a style that is sort of more cinematic and moody and even a little bit less traditionally musical. There's still traditional notes, but it's just not necessarily going to all be on beat. Ever since I first heard Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence by Ryuichi Sakamoto, I absolutely fell in love with his work, and his most recent project is an ambient project that I really enjoy, and it inspired me to want to make music like that. And I think the Digitone is a really good piece to be able to do that because of how the step sequencer is set up and the trig conditions that you can apply. So the first thing I like to do when I'm creating an ambient track is, because there's going to be a lot of different textures and things that don't necessarily fit on a consistent beat, is I like to figure out a foundation, probably like some chords or something like that, that will just give our ear something to latch onto. So I'm going to try to develop a few chords. Right now I'm at 62 BPM. It's going to be really slow, and that will just give me enough space in the step sequencer to have a few different pieces, make sure that there's a lot of open space for the track to just breathe and a lot of air to go between those notes just to start. And so let's try to develop some nice sounding chords that we can use for the foundation of our track. Let's do it. Okay, so I really like this as sort of a back to home note. It's just something that I can always go back to. And then I think two notes that go together really well with that are that one and this one. So now that we have those chords picked out that we think sound nice, I'm just going to turn the metronome on and see what I can do in terms of a pattern. And I'll try to keep it somewhat offbeat, not super predictable, just because I think it goes really well with the style that we're doing. So let's see what we can come up with. And now that I have that chord recorded in at 3 different parts of the pattern, we can now just start adding in some of those secondary chords, but we'll always have that first home bass chord that we have already recorded. Let's see what else we can do. Okay, I think that sounds really good. You can see I left a lot of space to breathe within those chords, because the sounds that the Digitone's actually putting out, like the sounds of those instruments, is what I really want to be the focus. I think the chords sound really pretty, but it's not the intricacy of what I'm playing that I want to be the forefront. It's just what the sounds actually are giving me and what they're making me feel. And I really like the space that we're leaving so far with these chords. So now we can go on to the next instrument and see if we can use that to try to add some more texture into what we have so far. Let's do it. I really like the way that that's feeling so far, and I was saying I think the Digitone's a great tool to make ambient music, and one of the main reasons that is because of its triggers that you can apply to each of the individual notes. So what I'm actually going to do with those little textures that I just added is I'm going to add a trig condition on each of those, which is going to add a different probability of how likely it is that the note is going to play. Because right now all I have is a 4-bar loop, but if I put different percentages in terms of the likelihood of a note actually playing, it will mean that I have a way longer sequence because it's going to continuously change. So let's add those triggers onto each of the little texture notes that I just put in. So I'll do, let's say 59% on every single one of those notes. And now you'll see if I play the track, some of the ones that I recorded in aren't actually going to play. So I'm going to go to this view so you can see where they're supposed to come up, and you'll see that some of them won't. Let's see it. That one didn't play. You did that one. That one went in. That one played. That one did. And that one played that time. So as you can see, it just adds a lot more variability and makes the beat always changing. You're not stuck to those 4 bars that you would be if you didn't have that option. The other thing you can do with the Triggs as well, which is I think amazing, is you can set trig conditions so each individual note can have its own filter, its own effect. Basically, you can tailor every single individual note to be its very own, all within the same track, which is super, super valuable, and it can be used in so many ways that I'm sure I haven't even discovered yet. So now let's go to a different track. We'll start to utilize one of those other instruments and add even more texture and feeling to this ambient song. Let's do it. I really like this sound. Let's use it. It has some high end and it also drops down to that low end, so I think that could be really cool texture-wise. Okay, I added in a few of those notes and I think it adds a lot of bass, and even though it's sitting in the background of the song, it adds some really good texture. I love how it sounds. So I'm gonna leave those in. And now we still have one more track that we can work with. So I think we can do one of two things with that. Either we can try to add some cool textured percussion, or we can add even a little bit more melody and a little bit more instrumentation. I think we should use that last track to add in some percussion. I think it will allow us to really utilize the Triggs, and it will add some really nice little textures that we can hear in the background. I found this sort of gong sound, and I think that's going to sound really cool, perfect for just adding some texture. And one thing I like to do when I'm just recording the percussion is I kind of just put the percussion sounds in random places, and then I can go in and change it afterwards. With the percussion, it's something I really try to keep offbeat and more or less traditional in terms of having something on like the 1, 2, 3, and 4 of a bar. So let's just play in some different random notes. I think I'm going to use these 2 notes. And then, like I said, we can just go in and change them if we don't like how it ends up sounding. Let's do it. I really like the way that percussion turned out. I'm just going to add in a couple more notes, a couple more hits, because then we can add in the probability to each one. And again, we'll just have a bit more variability in terms of where those are going to end up landing. So now we've used up all the tracks on the Digitone, and I think the song came out pretty well. The main thing that I wanted to get out of this was whatever your main source of creative outlet is, whether you make electronic music, hip-hop music, rock music, I think one of the best ways you can improve as an artist is to try to expose yourself and involve yourself in different types of music and different types of creativity. This was something that I recently got into when I first got this machine, is Ambient, and I've really loved it, and I truthfully think that some of the things that I've learned from exposing myself to that music has helped me in the different aspects of my other musical outlets and creativity. So if you liked the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you want to see in a future video. Really appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for hanging out. Love you. Thank you.